You ever just dream of stepping off the hamster wheel, of being truly independent? Well, today we're going to dive into what it actually takes to create a self sufficient life right in your own backyard. And we'll be using a guide that's been perfected over a 40-year, real world journey of living completely off grid. So here's the game plan. We'll kick things off with a big dream of independence, then we're going to get right into the nuts and bolts, how to feed your family from a tiny plot of land, and how to get your own water and power. After that, we'll get into the actual skills you'll need, bust some huge myths that stop most people cold, and then wrap it all up by figuring out the very first step you can take. All right, first up, the dream of independence. This is all about the why. You know, that core motivation to switch from just being a consumer to actually being a producer, moving from relying on the system to relying on yourself. I mean, who hasn't felt that, right? Maybe you're stuck in traffic or sitting in a cubicle, and you just start imagining this different life. One that feels more real, more connected to the earth, and yeah, one where you're actually in charge. And this quote just nails it. It comes from a couple who have literally lived this way for 4 decades. For them, it's not about doing things the hard way. The real payoff, the real prize, is that feeling of genuine independence. And that's really the key thing to get here. This isn't some vague romantic idea. It's a practical, step-by-step blueprint that's been tested, broken, fixed, and refined over 40 years. It's about taking that fantasy and turning it into a real, actionable plan. Okay, let's get our hands dirty, so to speak. Section 2, feeding your family. Because, let's be real, at the very heart of self-sufficiency is growing your own food. So when you hear food independence, you're probably picturing this massive farm, right? Well, get this. The claim here is that you only need about 1,020 square feet per person. That's a little plot smaller than 35 by 30 feet. All of a sudden, that goal feels, well, it feels possible for a lot more people. Now, to be truly self-sufficient, you can't just grow food in the summer. You gotta beat the seasons. And this is such an elegant solution, a geothermal greenhouse. It just uses pipes underground to circulate air. The earth down there stays a pretty constant 55 degrees Fahrenheit, so it naturally warms your greenhouse in the winter and cools it in the summer. All you need is a tiny little fan. It's genius. But before you plant a single seed, you have to know what you're working with. And this super simple mason jar test is something anybody can do, like right now. You just see what your soil is made of. It's the absolute first step to making it better and getting an amazing harvest. It's basically wisdom in a jar. And get this, it turns out plants can be bad neighbors. It's called companion planting, and if you get it wrong, your plants just won't thrive. Like cabbage and cauliflower are cousins. They compete for the same food. And potatoes and tomatoes can get the same diseases. Just knowing these simple pairings can save you so much headache. All right, so you've got food sorted, but that's only one piece of the puzzle, right? Self-sufficiency also hangs on two other massive essentials. So let's jump into section 3, getting your own water and power completely off-grid. Look, a reliable source of water is the absolute lifeblood of any homestead. You just can't function without it. So the whole idea here is to build in layers of security. Collecting rainwater is a great first step, for your garden at least. But for total independence, having a well with a simple manual hand pump for backup means you'll always have water even if the power goes out. And off-grid power doesn't have to be this crazy expensive thing anymore. A modern setup is usually a hybrid system, maybe mixing solar and wind. But here's where it gets really cool, the choice this gives you. You can go completely off-grid, or you can stay connected and sell your extra power back to the utility company. You can literally make the grid pay you. So you've got food, you've got water, you've got power. Awesome. But being truly self-sufficient, it's more than just having stuff. It's about knowing how to do stuff. Which brings us to section 4, mastering homestead skills. This right here is a total game changer. Think about it. Your fridge is this big, energy-sucking box that's a single point of failure. If it breaks or the power goes out, you're in trouble. But by mastering these old-school preservation methods, canning, drying, smoking, root cellaring, you not only slash your energy use, you're bringing back skills that kept our ancestors alive for centuries. And the learning just keeps going. The road to self-sufficiency is really paved with all these practical projects, from building a simple chicken coop to a really cool underground greenhouse. The point isn't to do it all at once. The point is to see it as a journey of adding one new skill, one new project at a time. Okay, this next part is huge because this is where we tackle all those little voices in your head that say, I can't do this. Section 5, no land, no problem. Let's start busting some myths. Let's just hit these myths head on. The myth is you need a giant farm. The reality, a small backyard can do wonders. The myth is that it's backbreaking work. The reality, smart techniques beat brute force every time. You need a lot of time? Nope. Start with just an hour a week. You need to be rich? No way. You can start with very little money. You need special skills? Nah, you'll learn as you go. Honestly, these myths are usually the only things holding people back. And the biggest takeaway here is that this whole journey can start right where you are, right now. A patio, a balcony, even a sunny windowsill has amazing potential. You can grow fruit trees in pots or start a garden in a bale of straw right on the concrete. The principles are the same, you just scale them to your space. So we've talked about the big dream, the nuts and bolts, the skills, and we've busted the myths. Which brings us to the most important part of all. What's your first step? And maybe this is the most important thing to remember. This is not an all or nothing deal. It's not this terrifying leap you have to take all at once. It's a journey. It's a path you build one stone at a time. Every small step, planting one pot of herbs, setting up one rain barrel, learning one new skill, that's a victory. You know, the authors make a really powerful point here. The journey really begins with knowledge. The first real step towards self-reliance isn't digging a well. It's just learning what's possible. It's understanding the steps and opening your mind to a different way of living. And that, right there, is a huge move forward. And so we end right where you begin. After seeing this whole blueprint for independence laid out, there's really only one question left. It doesn't have to be big, and it definitely doesn't have to be perfect, but what's your first step going to be?